for a lot of people, especially in Britain, even in a gym setting, there's a lot of cynicism or a lack of understanding around ollie lifting. So what case would you make for anyone listening that doesn't have much of a concept of the value and the benefit and the skill of Olympic lifting? What would your elevator pitch to them be as to why they should give it a go?
Yeah, I think, you know, when you think about Olympic weightlifting in its purest practice, you're talking snatch and clean and jerk. And snatch is arguably, and I'm biased, but probably the coolest but the hardest thing that you can do in a gym. And a lot of the time, people will avoid utilizing the snatch because of how hard it is. But what I'm starting to see a lot more is people that are driven from a business aspect or like the challenge of their day-to-day work, they thrive off trying to learn how to do the snatch because of how difficult it is. And because more and more people now are training, I'd say I've noticed in the last few years, the amount of people that are putting training or health and fitness high up on their priority list in their lives is grown massively. I've seen now that what people will invest in their health and fitness versus what they would 5 years ago change massively because it's important to them. And this is where now more people are starting to look at, okay, I'm now going to the gym, I'm going to class, I'm starting to feel fitter and healthier. They're starting to look up that list in terms of what's challenging, and they're seeing weightlifting at the top and they're wanting to do it. And I think that in itself is attracting more people to want to try it. Once you're in that realm and you're doing weightlifting and you can execute Olympic weightlifting very well, the benefit that you have that I'd say is most applicable to everyone here listening is you get strength and stability through a full range of motion, which no other sport really does for you. And that's the sort of thing that translates well to your day-to-day life, to your ability to play with your kids, to your ability to be able to feel athletic and agile in what you do. That's what weightlifting does. And that's what's starting to attract more and more people to it, I believe, because it does give you that all-round range of motion and strength.
And studies now reinforce that strength training through a full range of motion is just as, if not more effective than any static stretching or any sort of standardized mobility work, which people will allocate time to because they think that's what they need to be doing for their health and longevity. Whereas just adding a bit of resistance can have a huge, huge impact for, again, you mentioned it earlier, a lot of the conversations we have at Omnia with people are, especially in America, because I think they're a little bit more, well, one, health insurance premium, but two, because of the rampant capitalism and fact that you're on your own with healthcare, they're more conscious of ingredients, all that sort of thing. People hit a certain age or they have their first child and they look in a mirror, not body composition wise, but they look in a mirror and they start to look themselves in the eyes and ask themselves the questions of, am I doing everything that I can to squeeze the juice out of this life? And often, due to just familiarity with routine and structure and things, the answer is no. And that's where we both had conversations with people, I'm sure. Yeah, 40s, 50s, making the most of being able to do that. Strength training, skill acquisition, range of motion, mobility, understanding biomechanics, I think are all just as important as the sort of metrics and the aerobic development, all of the obvious things that underpin health and well-being. I am firmly of the opinion that you should be able to move through a full range of motion under load. Otherwise, you're missing a core component of your health and well-being. And again, the only people I know that can't really do that or reverse to it are those that are really pushing top-end running goals or top-end endurance goals and are fearful of strength training. But
you think about the type of person, and this is where I think people's mindsets changed, because it used to be like, hey, you get to 30 years old and then, okay, I'm going to just expect a natural decline in my health and my performance from a fitness standpoint. Whereas I think people's mindset's starting to change and go, well, no, hey, between 30 and 50, I can actually be extremely athletic and extremely fit and healthy between those 20 years as well. And then all of a sudden, that's what's giving people a new lease of life, because it is reality that with the right training process and the right education, 30 and 50 doesn't have to be a decline. You know, I've got clients that I work with that have hit their biggest numbers at 50 years old, and I go, it's not necessarily in weightlifting the fact that their body is not performing like it is when it's 30 years old. When you look at someone's training age, they're still very young. You know, if someone's never trained much, they've had an office job from straight out of school and they're now 35, 40 and going, I feel like a piece of shit, and they've never spent any time training. And then you take hold of them and you go, well, you're brand new to me now. You're a baby. You're at year one of your training. There's so much gains and progress to be made, even from the age of 30 or 40 years up, because of their training age being so young. And people are limited by their biological age, and they shouldn't be, because I always look at a client when they say to me, oh, Sonny, I'm old, I'm 47. I go, how long have you been training for? They go, oh, maybe 6 months. I'm like, you're a baby.
Brilliant. Yeah.
You know, and you should be excited and shouldn't be limited by the fact that you feel old because your biological age is. It's like you're young because your deliberate training age is so small. And that's valuable to understand as well, because yeah, okay, you've gone to the gym from the age of 20 to 30 because your mates did, and you dipped in and out of Globo gym, did a few curls and walked out. That doesn't count. Training deliberately and with guidance from an expert with a clear plan and process that you want to achieve, that's deliberate training, and that's what's going to yield you the results that are going to have that long-lasting effect.